Greetings to you all. I'm Rachel Ijala together with my colleagues, that is Fred, Lydia, Claire, and Marjorie, and we are all students at UMI DBA class, and our presentation is about procurement methods. First of all, you need to know or understand what procurement is. Procurement is a process or act of sourcing or obtaining goods or services for a business or an organization, and this involves two companies, that is a buyer and a seller. However, you need to know there are also primary and secondary objectives. Primary objectives include cost saving, on time delivery, quality control, to mention but a few. Then the secondary objectives include vendor relationship management, development and collaboration, adopt or facilitate to use guided procurement, improve underspend management through strategic sourcing. Principles of procurement include competition, accountability, fair dealing, integrity, transparency, among others. What are procurement methods? These are methods that are used in converting requirements or requisitions into purchase orders or contracts. And there are various ways of procuring, and these include open international bidding, open domestic bidding, restricted bidding could be international or national. Then we have direct procurement, community procurement, and global sourcing method. Each of my colleagues is going to elucidate on each of these methods. Thank you so much for listening, and over to you, Lydia.
Hello, my name is Lydia from the DBA weekend class, here to discuss group coursework on procurement method. The third procurement method we are looking at is restricted bidding, also referred to as selective bidding. This procurement method limits the request for tenders from a select number of suppliers, contractors, or service providers. It is considered a competitive method, although it limits the competition to the firms or agencies that have been invited by the procuring team. Usually this could be about 5 agencies. These agencies are selected based on an approved set of guidelines. And the key features that are associated with this kind of bidding is, one, guidelines need to be provided, so the best suited and most qualified agencies to procure goods from are selected. The second feature is that we need past experience with the suppliers or the providers of services that are being sought. This way, the procuring team will save time and money during the selection process. The third key feature is we consider the value of goods to be procured. For instance, if the National Drug Authority is looking for suppliers of drugs, they could set a threshold greater than 200 million to 500 million Uganda shillings for the bidders to bid within that range. Thus, this kind of bidding limits the amount to be considered on the bid. It is restricted and it is selective. Could be international or domestic. If it is international restricted bidding, the bidder is given 20 working days. If it's domestic, the bidder is given 12 working days to submit their bids. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Claire Ajego from the UMI DBA class, and I'm going to have a brief discussion on open domestic bidding and open international bidding as methods of procurement. Open domestic bidding refers to the procurement method which is open to participation on equal terms to all providers through advertisement of the procurement opportunity. It is mainly used to obtain a maximum possible competition and value for money. And with this type of bidding, even the foreign bidders can participate. And then open international bidding is a procurement or disposal method that is used or is open to participation on equal terms to all providers through advertisement of the procurement opportunity. But it specifically seeks to attract the foreign or international bidders. And it is used to obtain maximum competition and value of money where the national providers may not be able to achieve this. We have few reasons to justify this method, and one of them is because it is open to all bidders. Through advertising, we are able to get a higher circulation and a bigger number of people participating in the bidding. Then with both methods, nothing will stop either the foreign or the national providers from participating in the bidding. Then it also increases on the competition, because we see foreign bidders participating, which in the end will increase the value of money in the bidding. Those are the few points I have. Thank you for listening and watching.
Nkurunziza is my name, DPA student at PMI. I'm going to take you through a procurement method called direct procurement. This is the form of procurement that deals with purchasing or acquiring raw materials, goods and services, as well as resources that are used in the core production in the company or business. It can as well as be the form of procurement which deals with purchasing of raw materials and goods for production. Direct procurement have examples like when you procure raw materials, for example in car manufacturing, they procure items like wood, which is specific ideally for making cars. Two, you can as well as procure specific steel, which all of them play a very big role as well as manufacturing a car is concerned. I would prefer this method of procurement because of a number of factors. One, I would consider the past experience with the suppliers. Once the suppliers are having good relations with them, there would be no need of changing from them to others. Secondly, I would consider lead time. Due to the fact I would be procuring, or this method deals with procuring direct from the suppliers, really lead time becomes low, because there's no third party between you, the buyer, as well as the seller who is selling the raw materials. The value of goods and services also play a big role concerning choosing this form of procurement is concerned.
Good evening. I'm by the names of Bekeka Marjorie Patricia, and I'm going to talk about community procurement. Community procurement, these are systems that are developed for programs or project funds from the local government or donors to enable the community acquire services, works, contracts, and products or contractors. And this is really carried out from generally locally elected communal organizations. Okay, so through the development of proposals, forums are constituted to enable communities, organizations to interact with the local government and the private sector to participate in the procurement process. So at the community level, the procurement procedure and methods should be elected or selected considering the economy, ensuring good quality and efficiency. Now let's talk about the key features or characteristics of procurement at the community level. Number one is transparency. Transparency, all details of the items to be procured shall be required to be published at the prominent places in the villages. Then, equal opportunity suppliers. The method of evaluation must be uniform and everybody should be well aware of it. Then, accountability. Any procurement committee member of the community-based organizations remains accountable for all the decisions and actions taken, ensuring value for money. Okay. All the services and products procured should meet the required technical specifications. Then, safeguarding the interest of the committee, the procurement committee. Okay, let's give an example, like if your relative or friend is on the committee, it is not advised that any of them should participate in the bidding process or the evaluation process, so that they shall not gain unduly benefit. Then let's talk about the factors influencing the choice of the procurement committee method. Number 1, the past experiences, like in this case, where communities might have had experience from the previous service providers. National interest and security, since the community is directly participating and hence fulfilling national interest and security of the resources. The value of goods and services, since there is stagnant transparency and accountability, then this can be a better method. Now, in conclusion, these methods that my friend said, there are those that are competitive and those that are non-competitive. Now, like for this one of procurement, the method of community procurement, it's competitive. The same applies to open bidding and open domestic bidding, and the same as applies to restricted. Could be national, could be international. They are all competitive. Then the non-competitive is direct, since the contractor directly approaches the supplier. Like there's not really much competition, since I, the supplier, in case I'm the organization, I approach the supplier. So there's no much competitive procurement. Here we are talking about the opening of the process of bidding, like tenders to obtain the best bid. That's where the open international bidding, that's how they all flow in. Then the non-competitive, sometimes known as the solo single method of procurement, happens when the buyer single-handedly selects the company to buy from and to restrict the bidding process or the evaluation process. Certain suppliers with the companies that would be binding on the tender. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah.